Hussein. Now, today on the program, banks, fuel stations, and others shut as hardship protests begin in Abuja and Lagos, turns violent in Kano, Maiduguri, just as police fire tear gas in Lagos. Traders cautious, security heightened as Kogi State remains calm. And later on, we'll share this with you. Borno State government imposes 24-hour curfew amid ongoing nationwide hunger protest and bomb explosion. I'm hanging out with Dr. Olabisi Deji Folutile. I greet you, ma'am.
Good evening, citizens.
Yeah, okay. Dr. Folutile, we are joined by the proud Ikorodu son, Mayor Akinpelo. Mayor, I greet you.
I greet you.
Okay. So the team is ready. I hope you are. All right, let's go. You know, the Aluta season is upon us across the land as countrymen and countrywomen, boys and girls, vent collective emotions over hardship in the land. As the protest gathers steam, essential services like banks and petrol stations have become paralyzed in many centers across the country. The protest became violent in Kano, with hoodlums taking advantage of the situation to loot shops and offices. But in Lagos here, the police were constrained to fire tear gas canisters at protesters who in their hundreds stepped out of line. Now, pictures don't tell lie, or do they? Let's share some of the moments with you. Let's go. Come with me.
Just try to be careful.
Ruwan zafi, ga ruwan zafi, 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 ruwan zafi a gidan gwamnatin jihar Kano. Ruwan zafi inda ga wani can ya zauna a ƙasa ya ce sai dai a kashe shi. Ga wasu mutane sun zauna a ƙasa sun ce sai dai a kashe su. Ga su mutane sun ki guduwa sun ce sai dai a kashe su. Ga kuma ruwan zafi na ci gaba da sauka akan mutane. Mutane suna samun guri.
Well, pictures, gentlemen. Pictures from this last one from Kano. Meanwhile, let's tell you that the Kano State Governor, Abba Yusuf, has had no choice but to impose a 24-hour curfew. We'll share that with you as well. Let's go there.
Emergency State Security Council meeting that was held in my office, and with the attendance of all the security heads of the security agencies in the state. It was collectively decided that 24-hour curfew should be put in place in order to prevent further looting and vandalization of shops, mosques, public buildings, as well as indiscriminate killing and maiming of innocent citizens. On this note, therefore, and based on the powers conferred on me by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, chief security officer of the state. I have therefore declared 24 hours curfew in the state with immediate effect. Fellow citizens, gentlemen of the press, let me say that this action is made to ensure full protection of your...
Yeah, you see, nobody saw this coming. Kano, the state of the Talakawas, became violent, and this is the first of the proposed 10-day protest.
Well, can we say nobody saw this coming? I doubt it.
That it was going to be violent to a situation where the governor is declaring a 24-hour curfew.
You see, the issue about protest is this. Protest is a message of discontent.
Okay.
And when you have a message of discontent, depending on who is even passing across that message, that is what will determine what you see. You can see a clear difference, for example, in the protest in the southwest parts of the country, and that's in the northern parts of the country. It's quite, you showed a lot of clips here.
Yeah.
We saw what was going on in Ojota and other parts of Lagos, for example. You see that people were gathered together, but it's not in a violent manner. However, in these other northern parts of the country, because of the level of poverty in that part of the country, because of the level of education among the lower Keda,
the Talakawas.
the Salakawas. So the only language such people hear is whatever is passed across to them. They don't really, I'm sorry to say, they cannot sit down to really reason their actions carefully. And I'm talking about these Talakawas. And you could see that in Kano, for example, they've already started looting. The digital center of the National Communication Center Commission was already looted. So you ask yourself, what are you asking for and what actions
is looting part of the
are you taking? But then, if you remember, and I do not mean to disparage or insult anybody, if you go to the north, for example, I've experienced it before. If you go to a restaurant and you are served your food and you get up, for example, that you want to go and wash your hand, before you come back, somebody will have carried your food. You get it? And you dare not complain. What does that suggest to you? It suggests that these people are hungry.
Wow.
They are very hungry. And in what language do you think the hungry person will understand?
Yeah.
So immediately they hear about protest. To them, it's an opportunity to loot, to steal, and to do different kinds of things. So that is why I said, for me, in that part of the country, I couldn't rule it out.
Okay.
And I don't even know, I think it's better that the governor has already imposed a curfew, because you can't imagine what will take place.
Yeah, BC, you'd be surprised that before Mayor and I came here, we talked about 1989, SAP riot, talked about 1993, the June 12 Wahala, prominent here, but largely quiet up there in the north.
Yeah, because let me start by saying that protest is a right entrenched in the Constitution.
Okay.
So nobody has any problem with people protesting. Some of us, our own argument is that we must not allow what happened 4 years ago during NSAS to repeat itself when Lagos lost trillions of naira and we're still suffering that, that problem. So let me start by saying that I want to commend the governor of Lagos State and the security agencies in Lagos for what they've done. They've done wonderfully well. You know,
the CP came to Ojota here.
Yes, because they've done wonderfully well. They'll be able to contain it. They did, different strategies, met with different people. Because this protest, there are people, civil liberties, organizations, and then some other people that you need to engage with. And by the time you can convince some of them, then you'll be able to just take the fire out of that, take the petrol out of the fire. And they'll be able to do that. And then the court judgment that they got, asking the protesters to be confined to Ojota, it's also a master stroke, because you'll be able to monitor them. And that's what they did. They monitored them. And we didn't have any problem in Lagos. So I want to commend them for that.
Yeah.
But I also want to criticize the governor of Kano State. What happened in Kano is failure of leadership. When some governors were making provisions to protect their state, the governor of Kano State was playing politics. And he has now realized that, because he was saying, he supports protests and people who have the right to protest and all that. And he has seen the repercussion, because millions of money...
apparently, he didn't see this coming.
He didn't see it coming, because you see, the problem with protests is that there is no way it will not be hijacked if it's not properly monitored. Because, like she said, people are hungry. So when there's a protest, they see it as an avenue to vent their hunger, and it becomes we and them. They look at it as the poor versus the rich, or the comfortable. So they look to people with shops, they loot those shops, not minding that those people don't work for government. And they are individuals. You understand? But that is the way of protest. So you cannot be sure of what the end of a protest will be.
Yeah.
So it's always better to monitor it. Yeah. And that is why they were because if we had not done that in Lagos, imagine, it just takes time. Immediately it goes out of hand, some people will now catch in and try to do that. Secondly, you will look at it that politics is also being played. If you remember during NSAS, a lot of southern parts of the country were burning. The north was calm.
Including this station.
That's what I'm saying. Was attacked. The north was calm. Now, there are a lot of politicians from the north.
So the shoe is in the other leg.
Yes, because now you have a southern president. You have some people who do not, for whatever reason, do not agree with him. And because I tell people, when the masses on their own do not have what it takes to do anything. Even revolutions all over the world, from French Revolution down, it is the elites that will sit down and decide that, we want a change, or we don't agree with this. And then they will now mobilize the masses to do what they want.
Yeah.
So those masses that you are saying, there are some people behind who are manipulating them to say, go on. If you ask some of these people, some of them may not even know what they were protesting for.
I know that Dr. Dejifat Folutile would recall that a South American country, Venezuela, when it was announced that President Maduro won the
election, yes.
Protests erupted.
Yes, because the opposition.
Spontaneous.
Yes.
Spontaneous.
That was spontaneous.
Yeah.
That was spontaneous. Of course, I agree with
him. No, when he talked about the elite.
I agree with him that, you can't get any of these things done without some people being at the background. And that was why I talked about the message that is being communicated.
So
apparently,
the messenger.
And the message being communicated here in the southern part of the country is different from the message being communicated in the other side of the... you are using your present problem to achieve a purpose. So what can appeal to the poor is hunger.
Okay.
So whoever is fanning that fire will talk about hunger. And if you see, you could notice that in fact they talk more about this protest in the northern part of the country this time around more than any other part of the country. As a matter of fact, the southeast is silent.
South is interestingly peaceful at a time like this.
Yeah, because for two reasons. One, the Ohaneze, which is like the cultural group that speaks for the Igbos, came out and said they are not part of it.
Okay.
And then a lot of different Igbo groups and associations also disassociated, because when you look at it, they are also losers and that kind of thing. They have a lot of shops that will be looted, and during NSAS, they lost a lot of money too.
They did.
So they were not part of it. And that is also due to the fact that there was engagement from government and to be able to convince them where there's no need for this protest. And that's why I say it's the failure of leadership in Kano, because you should be able to know that when you allow people to protest and you say you don't care, let them go and protest, they have the right to do that, and you don't monitor it, it will always get out of hand.
Okay, so it's important at this point to remind governors, BC and Mayor, that government exists for the benefit of the citizens, and not the other way around.
I even want to state that what we see in this northern part of the country now should also tell a story that the subnational level, at that level, is not probably working well for the people. You see, when we talk about protest and all of these things, we just look at the federal government, the center. But the people, the condition of your people, the welfare of the people in the states should be the responsibility of the state government. Do you get it? Yes, the federal government affects everybody, but you find out that many state governments are shirking in that responsibility. Look at what is happening in Oyo State, for example.
Okay.
Oyo State also, there is protest in Oyo State. They went to the government house and all of that, but it is peaceful.
Yeah.
It shows the kind of people, the way you can engage with them. You see, we talk of engagement. You cannot engage with an illiterate.
They say the style is the man.
Yes, you cannot engage with people that are not, you don't send your children to school. Over 10 million people out of school children in Nigeria today, majority of them are domiciled in the northern parts of the country. So how do you engage with them? Avoidably. So whoever is behind that tells them, go and burn this place up, they will go and do it because they will not sit down to actually reason it out. That is the difference between them and us, and that is a responsibility for them to tackle.
Mayor, and this protest is supposed to run for 10 days. This is day one, and
I don't see it lasting for 10 days. They don't have the capacity to do that. You see, they don't have, I can tell you that, they don't have the capacity to do that. Why they were able to do that during the NSAS is different. The circumstances are different.
Okay.
During the time of NSAS, there are people that are angry that because of the activities of men of Special Anti-Robbery Squad, there are a lot of people. So when people now decided that, we want to end SARS, and they started congregating in some places, there are different interests. The people who are into Yahoo, the Yahoo boys, for example, who are not happy with how police used to harass them, were able to provide logistics to be able to sell.
Let me react to what I'm seeing on the screen. Kano, Borno, Yobe have declared 24-hour curfew.
Yes.
So you expect
that's what the reason for that. In Borno, I can understand. In Borno had a security situation.
Okay.
Because of the terrorists and the Boko Haram thing. So because of this riot thing, the bombings and the Boko Haram people will be able to infiltrate and all that. So there is need for people to be at home so that the security forces can be on top of that. That is for Borno. But in Yobe and Kano, that's where you have absence. The local government in Yobe was attacked, and buses were burnt and all that. So there is need for that. In Kano, they were looting and all that.
You see the list expanding?
Yeah, it's possible, but I think that the government, when you look at the other states, for example, when you look at Kaduna, a police officer was killed in Kaduna, but they'll be able to maintain, they'll be able to put, the security forces will be able to contain it. Yeah. So I don't see it expanding to those places, because there is in Katsina, but of course, apart from Katsina and Kaduna, and then maybe Nasarawa, in other parts of the north, was not that on the level that you see in Kano or Yobe or Borno.
Bisi, so when the DSS warned or alerted us to the fact that it got intel that a thing like this might erupt, the DSS was not just crying crying wolf?
The DSS said nothing new. I don't see any big deal in that information they shared.
Okay.
Because if you talk of protest, even me, I'm not a member of DSS, and I knew that this kind of thing will happen. I've told you the factors, the conditions that will make this kind of thing to happen. You don't need any DSS reports for you to know that protests can be hijacked. And usually, when there are protests, there are different interests.
Okay.
So even if the people that are protesting, even if they think they have a reason for their protest, there are other interests that are trying to also achieve their own purpose through that protest any day, anytime. And that is why we talk about the elite being, the factors that determine what happens, even in protests in any part of the world. So for me, the DSS saying that there are sinister, well, maybe they got some info.
No. What they were saying was that they have intel that some people were going to infiltrate, and I think that is what happened in Borno.
Not
the riots per se. I think that was like what happened in Borno. What they were saying was that they had some which happened because
some people were going to take advantage.
That they were going to infiltrate, that people, mercenaries from outside, who are these the Boko Haram, especially the ISWAP element, that they were going to use that opportunity to come in. But if you remember that recently there have been changes in Borno, they've been coming out, suicide bombing has started again, and then they've been attacking some places. So this is something that happened. They were able to infiltrate, and that was why Borno was the first to impose curfew. Borno was forced to impose curfew because they realized that it's not only protesters. Because if anybody is going to protest, it shouldn't be in Borno, because there is no governor that has provided palliatives to his people more than Governor Zulu. That is not in doubt. Nobody has provided palliatives to his people more than Governor Zulu. But like I said, because of their
as we usually would say here, if many governors behave like
Zulu, yes. So, but because of the security situation that they have in that part of the country, the ISWAP elements were able to infiltrate the protesting, and there was bombing and
taking advantage.
Like so there was need for that 24-hour curfew. But my problem with the North is that it's not as if the people were against the government. Hunger is everywhere in the country.
Okay,
we have to accept that. Things are very, very difficult. We see it every day. So it's not only in the North, in the East, in the West, there's hunger everywhere. The only difference in this one is that the leadership and lack of it in some areas, that is what determines what happened in different states. In some states, there was no protest at all.
Like mine at
Yes, in some states in the South, there were no protests at all.
Cross River.
Even in Kogi State.
Yes, because that's what I'm saying, because there is hunger everywhere. That is not in doubt. Even the president acknowledges that. Acknowledges that, and every time the president says, "I know what you are going through. I feel what you are going through, and we are working to solve that problem." So there is hunger everywhere, and so it's the same reason for the protests everywhere. But why you have it on different scale is because of leadership in those areas.
All right then, that will just about do it. Let the debate continue in your part of town. We have agreed. Let's underline it. Protestations are guaranteed by the Constitution. So be it. We'll go on a break now. Please come with us. We should be back very shortly. Come with us. Thank you.
This is Dope World Like a Champion.
Quality, wires and cables on. Come and come back, light up your life. Come and want to light up your house. Come and want to give you better. Come and next to ordinary wire. Come and cables, come and wires, come and quality, come and durable, come and capable. Come and cables, come and wires,
great quality. Now with the new look.
All right, folks, let's go on with our next story. You know, whereas many centers lost their cool, the situation in the confluent state of Kogi remains calm. Major roads in the capital, Lokoja, were deserted, just as commuters and private vehicles were off the streets. Although heavy security presence was recorded at government facilities, courts, and the state government secretariat, we can tell you that banks and government offices remained shut as workers decidedly stayed away. Now, traders across the state became cautious as they expect a let-up in the frenzied atmosphere.
Yeah, it's like...
Are you surprised Kogi has decided to go it?
No, I'm not surprised.
Okay.
Why I'm not surprised, I'll tell you. Kogi used to be a very, very, very crazy place.
Okay.
Where kidnappings and killings was just rampant. So, whether you like him or not, that's one of the things you have to give to Yahya Bello.
Okay.
Yahya Bello was able to put in place a security architecture that reduced crime significantly in Kogi State. You have to give that to him. And I'm sure maybe the present governor, although is also maybe using the same template.
Okay.
The security station, they'll be able to put in a security architecture that reduces crime. So I'm not surprised that when in this protest, people will just decide to say, okay, let's stay at home, like some other states.
I think that Kogi is contiguous to about 9-10 states.
Yes, that's why I said, that is why at the time it used to be terrible kidnapping. I remember one time like that, I went for one event there. They told me that, look, you cannot step into Kogi without security. And I have to go with security and all that. So I know the state. I remember that a top journalist who was MW told me that, look, 6 o'clock, he has to be in his house, that the state is not safe. But over time, Yabelo has been able to reduce the level of crime in that state. So I'm not too surprised that people just decided to stay at home, which means that
is building
I'm building on that same template. So I'm not too surprised that they are not, because security-wise, maybe they've done the needful. And then we have to commend them, because if the people decide, yes, if the shops and banks close, the same thing happened in Lagos, happen everywhere, because people are not sure what will happen. But that we didn't have the kind of incident that was happening just around them, in Kano, in Katsina, in other places, we have to commend them for that.
It's a plus.
Yes, we have to commend them for that.
BC, I know the fear is not there of visiting a place like Kogi at a time like this. If you see what I mean.
I will still go back to what I said earlier on.
Okay, then.
About state governments, their activities, the impact of the activities on the citizenry. I want to believe that beyond all the things that Mayor has said here, I also want to think that the people themselves, there is an atmosphere between the government and the people made it possible for them not to go on the streets. For example, even the story that was shared about Kogi State being calm, the people that were interviewed agreed to the fact that there is hunger in the country. They also admitted the fact that government should do something about the sufferings of the people. However, they think that many of them, they get, their daily things from going to the market on daily basis. And the fact that that state is able to provide a conducive environment for the people that want to do their mini businesses to go about doing it.
Look at the footage, there's calm, relative calm.
So it shows that at least
people are not milling around.
Exactly. It shows that, because these security operatives are everywhere across the country. And there are places they are where there are still protests. In Abuja, for example, tear gas was fired. And they still they reassembled after some time. But that is not happening here. It shows you that somehow they have the confidence They have that confidence that everything was going to be calm. That was why those who could go out were going out and all of that. So I still take it to be that engagement between the government and the major, probably the major voices in Kogi State. It could be through the Market Association, it could be through anything, but I think there is a kind of engagement.
You talked about the elite.
The elite in this case now, if the government is able to preempt, who are the elite? Even this government, the government in the state, they are part of the elite. If they are able, in their own wisdom, to engage the populace, and they are able to persuade them not to go on protest, and they assure them that, look, things are okay, we are doing this, we are doing that, and they are able to persuade them, well, it definitely works for them.
Mayor Thomas Paine, one of the founding fathers of the USA, said, these are times that try men's souls.
Oh, yes, because I acknowledge that things have never been this tough. Things are really tough. Things are really tough. But what I used to tell people is that we have, all of us collectively, contributed to what we are suffering. All of us collectively. Our case is like somebody that kept going to Yasikira and was eating on credit. And kept eating on credit. And then he got to a stage, Yasikira said, no, I cannot sell to you again. Enough. I can't sell to you again credit. And then the man got home. He didn't have money again he can't bring food for his family. You understand? There's no credit anywhere. Things are becoming difficult for everybody. His kids are hungry. And there's problem within his household.
The truth was staring everybody in the face.
Yes. And because you see, so it will be unfair for us to think that the problems that all of us collectively, either by act of omission or commission, contributed to, will be resolved in 1 year. So we have to know that we must still endure a little bit more. Because the quantum of the problem that we had cannot be solved in 1 year. But when you have a government that sold your crude oil in advance, collected the money, and already spent the money of the crude that you are going to produce, that you have not even produced, so they are going to produce in months to come. He has already collected that money.
Mortgaging your
future. I collected that money and spent it. A government that borrowed money from everywhere, kept borrowing money to do everything, including paying salaries. A government that printed trillions in ways and means. When you do things like that, it will come back to hurt you.
Mayor, but you remember former late President Ronald Reagan of the US said, we are not seeking a Republican answer or Democratic answer. We are seeking an American answer to an American problem. So
that's the same thing that we have now. That is why everybody has to realize that things are very difficult. Already, part of the problem I have with Nigerian politicians, some of them have started preparing for 2027. Part of this problem has to do with 2027. Our problem, we don't even know whether we are going to survive till 2027. So let us collectively, whether you are APC or PDP or opposition or whatever, realize that we have problems and that it's going to be very difficult for us to solve that problem. Whatever there is hunger in the land. This protest will not solve that problem. That is my belief. We don't, if we protest, that's not the way to go. The way to go is to engage government to say, these are the ways that we think things should be resolved. And then government will be able to take that into consideration or explain things that they're doing, and there will be better engagement between the people or the representative of the people and government. But protest will not help anybody. It will not help anybody. Some people, whether you like it or not, will hijack it and use it for their own selfish means.
Put simply, busy, the Kogi example is something states should copy.
It's not something that is naturally copied.
It's
not something that you will copy overnight. I also think that it's something that you nurture.
There is nothing to even copy there.
Over time, because it's even long. It's long, and we don't have the time. But I think for me, the major issue here is that people have demonstrated their discontentment with what they are going through. And I think that is legitimate. We have accepted that. And I also think that even in the midst of the hardship, also, governments will need to do some other urgent things to address this situation. Yes, I agree. I agree with him about all the things that are going on. Why we cannot even blame one government that is trying to reorder things that have gone wrong. But you see, you can also not deny the fact that in reordering also, that reordering, for example, what Nigerians are saying is that it has to be complete. And affect the lawmakers, the political class, because the people cannot continue to make sacrifices at the expense of the political class. That is very important, and I think it's an important message that people are trying to pass across.
In fact, a wise man once said, if you are in a hole, stop digging.
Yes, I agree. What Doc is saying is that our political leadership has been unfair to the Nigerian people. You know, we discuss it here on another time to say that you are expecting people to make sacrifices, but you are not making the sacrifices. You know, remember when we discussed it and I said, I feel embarrassed about what they are doing in the National Assembly, the kind of salaries they collect, the kind of allowances they collect. They will sit down and buy vehicles for themselves when they know that we cannot afford things like that. So even in the presidency, they have to cut cost of governance. We should not be discussing now about buying a new plane or things. I agree. So also the political class should also know that the only way they can convince the Nigerian people to make the kind of sacrifices needed for us to get out of this hole is for them to be seen to be also making such sacrifices. They cannot be living as if we don't have problem. That's why I said we like to deceive ourselves. We are now a very poor nation. But we still want to delude ourselves that we're a rich nation. We are a poor nation. So if that must show in every sphere of government, including our leaders, including people in the National Assembly, they cannot be living high life and living large, and you say that we are poor. How do you expect Nigerian people to accept that? So all of us must make sacrifices. But right now, both people in leadership and the citizenry, we must make sacrifices.
Dr. Deji Folutile, you know Zebediah. He said, I have seen 99, will be 100. We don't need to see 100.
Honestly.
Well, we have seen more than 99.
I think nobody is interested in seeing 100. Because even for countries that have seen this, we saw what happened in Kenya. And we saw the implication of all of this. And even from our own experiences in Nigeria, we know that protests, they don't end well. So it's not something that any government or anybody should wait till it consumes things before it is finished.
In short, as we have agreed, we need a Nigerian solution to this problem.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So not PDP, APC, LP, or ABGA.
No.
We need a Nigerian solution because the paradox is the problem is here, the answer is also here.
Exactly.
I agree.
All right, let's go to our next story, folks. You know, Borno State, northeast Nigeria, also caught the bug of the protests. We can report that the state government has imposed a 24-hour curfew on Maiduguri, that's the capital, in response to nationwide protest and a deadly bomb explosion in the state. The spokesperson for the State Police Command, Nahum Daso, said the decision comes in the wake of a bomb explosion at a local tea joint at Kawuri in the Kondoga local government area of the state. While the explosion led to the deaths of about 20 people, the protest turned ugly after protesters went berserk, forcing policemen to fire tear gas to control them. Basically, again, terrible times. We are there. We are talking process in one hand. We are going back to the age of suicide bombing.
In spite of the successes that have been recorded in
Yes,
Borno
by
State,
the state governor. Yeah.
For example, which makes it sad. And you see,
It makes you think if this is deliberate.
Well, deliberate.
You see what I'm saying?
I can imagine what you are saying, but I also think that sometimes when things happen in other parts of the country, some other places become victims of such happenings. For example,
this is Borno.
For example, in Borno State
Yeah.
now, I think what is happening in that place is like things happening in the north spreading regardless of what the situation
small boys that they don't even know
in Borno State. Look at the people that
what do they know about hunger?
They are young people. You get it? No matter what the governor is trying, but no matter what he's doing, it shows that we still have a army.
Oh yeah.
Of these young.
See hungry.
We are hungry.
Hungry.
Hungry. They are going to Hungary.
Now.
So they hear things that somebody will just tell them. You see, it's happening in Kano. It's happening in Sokoto. It's happening in this. You people too.
And that's the fuel they need.
Yes, now organize yourself. Oh yeah, go to the street. So it's unfortunate that this is happening in Borno State.
No. And bad government. But certainly not in Borno.
No, what I'm saying
so
is...
even if it is not in Borno, even when the governor is trying, see, some of the things that the governor is also doing, they are from the center. It's not as if all the money that the governor is spending is also coming from the state government, because these are security issues, which means that for Borno, both the federal government and the state government are doing well. That is the way I want to look at it.
Yeah.
Now, if in spite of that, these people are still like this on the street, it shows you that what happens in one part of the country will go to another place, whether that thing is supposed to happen or not.
Yeah, BC, but and Mayor, while Aluta is on, let's make some money. We are going on a commercial break now. Please come with us. We'll be back shortly. Thank you. All right, folks, let's go back there. Borno State, bedeviled with the suicide bombers.
Yes, I said Borno State is different. You have to. Borno State is different from all the other states. That's why I said.
Why is it?
When the DSS said that they have intelligence that some people that the ISWAP elements
We're going to infiltrate.
Yeah. That's what happened, because the bomb thing, this is not the first time that will happen in recent times. If you remember that for a long time, they were able to push the ISWAP elements towards the Lake Chad region. Okay. And then the Boko Haram element, after that disagreement between Boko Haram and ISWAP, have been weakening considerably. In fact, a lot of their foot soldiers are the ones doing banditry in the northwest. You understand?
Okay,
so
so
a lot of them now left Boko Haram and started doing banditry. So for a long time, the area, that Borno area, was relatively calm. Yeah. Apart from the northern part of it, was relatively calm. But recently, the ISWAP group has been able to put their house in order, and they've started again doing things that they used to do that they've not done for a long time. For example, they resumed suicide bombers, which they've not done in a long time, and then using planting bombs in different places.
So this one is still fear.
It's part of their own terrorism thing that they've been doing in the state. It's just that now mixing that with this protest made Borno State to be, but because of that bomb, people were hungry, and then they started moving out and all that, and government has to quickly impose sanctions. So their own case is a bit different. It's a mixture of both the terrorism that has been going on there and the end government.
This makes you question. question if we can call the bluff of these Boko Haram messengers of evil, of death. Can we call the bluff?
If we could, we would have. I don't think we have that capacity from what we have been, if you want to go with what has been going on in the country, it's obvious that somehow we cannot, for whatever reason. And because I believe that if we could, we would have.
Yeah.
So we are just trying to,
We can only contain it. We cannot eradicate it. Even America could not do it in Afghanistan. They could not do it in Syria. Terrorism, because it's not a conventional war, they will always recruit more people, come back again, mobilize, and come back to attack you. It's not a conventional war that you will say that, oh, these are designated war theater. So you can only contain them, reduce it to the barest minimum, but you cannot stop it.
Well, so the coming days will be very interesting too.
Very challenging because they promised us 10 days. This is the first day.
By the way,
we hope that
quickly. I was looking at some of the demands of the leaders of the protest. One, return pump price of petrol to 100
naira. That is impossible. Why it is impossible? You see, that's why I said that you can ask something when you protest, but when you engage government, you'll be able to know. Because why it is impossible is that right now that we are paying between 580, 650, thereabout, government is still, because the unit price is supposed to be 1,300, and we are paying about 650, 700 now. So government is still subsidizing that. To go back to 100 naira is impossible.
All right, quickly, let's digress. Go to Nguru is in Yobe State. There's also the curfew imposed there.
Yeah, I think
Yobe is neighboring.
Yobe is the neighboring state. Yes.
So, I think what is happening in that as
because of the local government was attacked.
Okay.
The local government was attacked, and then buses and then vehicles that were parked in the local government were burnt. Yes.
Okay.
It's still part of
the same kind of thing that happened during the NSAS where the buses that were parked were. So the same thing happened in that local government.
They just act without.
They're thinking.
Yeah.
No, that's the way rioters are. When you deal with mob, you cannot guarantee what they will do. Everybody has their own frustration.
Yeah.
That's why they attack. Because, for example, I say you attack people who are also suffering the same kind of thing that you are complaining about.
All right, we must go. Please don't forget, journalist Hangout is the biggest rendezvous for gentlemen of the Fourth Estate. Let's thank Dr. Olabisi Deji Folutile for your time, ma'am.
Thanks for having me.
Let's also thank Mayor Akinkwelo for your intervention.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, that's it for the show today. Join us again tomorrow for another episode. Of course, you may watch a repeat broadcast of this episode later tonight at 11. But don't forget to join us every Sunday between 1:30 and 3:30 p.m. We expand the field for you. Not to worry, BKO is unavoidably out of town. He should come back before the week runs out. We are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Citizen Jones Hussein. Bye-bye now. Take care.